Hi, I'm Scott Smolders. You may remember me from such films as Smolders Family Memory 6 and Snapchat Stories. Hey Goodwin, we just wanted for your birthday, we're going to give you two presents today. First part of your present, part one, is under your seat right now. Have a look. It's not. We've already given it to Maddie, I think, probably by now. She'll sort that out for you. The second part of your gift, we really wanted to basically submit our pitch ideas to you before you become too much of a famous producer and director and too old. So here they are. Roll the tapes.
Hi goons, I'm Yatesy. Can I just say it's such an honour to pitch to you today. I've been a fan of your work my whole life. So Mr. Goons, today our main protagonist is a guy named Tim. So Tim and his friend Matt, who comes along, they want to start a cult. Tim is obsessed with cults. He really wants to start a cult. The first scene, so Tim's in his room. He's just got posters everywhere, Jamestown, all the big boys of cults, you know. And it says to Matt, I'm going to start a cult. And Matt's, well, what's a cult? And so Tim goes, oh, what's a cult? It's where you get people to follow you and you become like their god and they will do whatever you... And Matt says, oh, I really like you, Tim. You're a great guy. I'd join your cult and that'd be great. Anyway, so basically most of our film is Tim and Matt getting ready for their cult. But the thing is, it's not obvious at first. Tim and Matt's life isn't exactly normal. So for one thing, why are they wearing orange robes? Why is there a big statue that looks a bit like Bish in the middle of their town that they live in? And well, why do all the townspeople walk up and lick the balls? Eventually the audience will pick up that Tim and Matt are actually in a cult. So, and I guess Mr. Goodwin, by now you're probably thinking, well, wait, they're in a cult, but they're creating a cult? And that's the idea. So Mr. Goons, you're probably wondering by now, like, how does this story end? Like, do they create the cult within a cult? I don't know. But it pans to black. Credits roll, bring in the dollars, there's the blockbuster. So yeah, I hope you enjoy my pitch and let's get rich together. Thank you, hired goons.
So my idea, so this one is not based on true story at all. I had this idea that you have like there's this international student, right? He's like from somewhere exotic. Let's just say like Fiji. He has this dream of one day coming to Australia, but he comes from this poor, impoverished background and he can't afford to come to Australia. And it's 2013, Tony Abbott's in and Peter Dutton's in and they're turning back the boat. So he's got no way of getting into Australia. So he comes up with this master plan. He's like, all right, how am I going to get into Australia? I've got nothing. I'm going to find an unsuspecting, low IQ Australian girl and propose to her. And she's going to say yes, because I'm exotic. And he starts working towards that plan. And he's like, all right, how am I going to do it? He learns how to swim. He couldn't swim before. He learns how to ski. And then he even learns how to put on an Australian accent. So it's all going to plan. And one day he meets this Australian girl who's visiting Fiji. And he's like, all right, time to propose to her. He does. He proposes to her and she says yes. But the twist is, at the end of all this, he ends up falling in love with her. And that's the story.
Nice save.
Hey Smiley Tunes, thanks for considering my video opportunity. My idea is to rehabilitate all the homeless people. The government gets them to do an education program with a funny bus driver and they go around learning lots of things. But when they get on the bus, they take acid unknowingly and then they get to learn all about the universe. Thanks for considering my submission.
Happy birthday, Tim. So you're always saying that 90s nostalgia is probably going to be the next big thing in cinema. So I figure why not remake the most 90s film of all, Twister. So it's the same way of the main character Jo losing her parents to a tornado. Except instead of deciding to become a scientist, she decides to become the #1 tornado killer in the world and get revenge. So flash forward probably like 30 years into the future and she's like the best tornado killer in the world. Like she's retired now, she's killed so many tornadoes. Like people think that tornadoes are a myth. But then they start popping up all over the world again in places where they've never been seen before. Places like Antarctica, Easter Island, and worse, the moon. So she's brought back out of retirement with one mission, to save the Earth from tornadoes. So she starts traveling the world looking for the parts to make the ultimate tornado killing gun. But it turns out the tornado gun doesn't actually exist. It was just a rumor. What actually exists is the ultimate tornado killing weapon, herself. Her dad was operating on her when she was a kid, doing all sorts of illegal experiments on her. So it turns out she's not just part human, she's part tornado as well. On top of this, Jo runs into an orphan tornado, and she's confronted with all the lives that she's taken throughout the course of her career. She learns that tornadoes actually aren't the bad guys, that they've just been defending themselves from a shady government organisation that her dad worked for. So it becomes a race against time for Jo and the orphan tornado to try and stop an all-out war from humans and the tornadoes. So Jo ends up embracing her newfound tornado powers to save the day. She ends up sacrificing herself in the process, but at least finds a little bit of redemption for all the tornado lives she's taken. The film flashes forward something like 10 years, and the orphan tornado brings his own newborn tornado to a statue of Jo that they put up in her honour. The camera pans down to a little metal plaque at the bottom revealing her true tornado name, Twister.
So you're gonna love it as much as I do. So basically, we take a TV series or a movie, some of the greatest of all time, and we replace all of the humans with animals. Hear me out, I have a few examples. Days of Our 9 Lives, obviously with cats. Parrots of the Caribbean, or Caribbean, however you want to say it. And also Prison Snake. See, with this one, they're not actually trying to escape the prison, the bars just don't seem to contain them. So Harry Otter, No Country for Old Hens, Jurassic Park, Terminator, Llamas in Pajamas, Groundhog Day but with actual groundhogs, Citizen Crane, Silence of the Lambs, Flight Club, The Bearded Dragon with the Girl Tattoo, and Jaws, but all the sharks are friendly.
Look, firstly, I'd like to thank Hired Goons for accepting my pitch today. I think this is an amazing opportunity. I've been working on this for quite a while. My story is a classic superhero genre film with a little bit of a twist. Through all of recorded human history, human beings have justified the existence of extraordinary people that walk amongst us as gods. We painted scripture on the walls. We had stories of soothsayers and deities. It's a nice feeling to be able to drift off, sit in the cinema, and think about what that would be like. My pitch revolves around a man, as they unfortunately usually do. Now, this man is not bound by our dimension, but he can travel through time and space on absolute whim. A man currently saved in my phone as Time Goodwin. Been in there for a while, I like that one actually, since I met him. Now, this mystic has been involved in every major event throughout human history, shaping the path of humanity through struggles and the golden ages of technology with admitted ease at this stage. From the extinction of Parantheus, rise of the Homo heidelbergenus, who we now know are the original ancestor of Homo sapiens, 600,000 years ago. He was there, time was there. To the first use of fire and shelter in Africa, 300,000 years ago, in which he famously shared the first ever packet of redhead matches to get it all started. All over the world, during every major evolution, Time Goodwin has played a role. Even having planned, admittedly quite poorly, the execution of Franz Ferdinand. The increasing pace of human evolution has seen us unfortunately create 3 world wars, spread devastating virus, and pollute and warm this planet to the point of inevitable total extinction. But it's time. It's time for Time Goodwin to don his colourful robe, put on his fairy lights, and save the fucking world. He chooses his disciples, arranges a special paradise for them to congregate, where he will take them on a journey inside themselves to find what this universe needs to save the human race. It's time.
Okay, so it's all about this family of 5. They're superheroes. They're forced to live civilian lives because the government has banned all superheroes. So we've got these 5 superheroes. We'll call big dude, Mr. Unbelievable, and his wife, Stretchy. She just has these, she could just stretch out basically, and they've got 3 kids. So anyway, they're just living this civilian life under the radar, but Mr. Unbelievable is itching to get out and back into the superhero scene, and he gets lured into this island where he has to fight an out-of-control robot. So, and then he realizes that he's going to need his whole family of superheroes to destroy the robot. So, yeah. So, original thought of mine. I think it's going to be really good.
Okay, in keeping with the superhero theme, my idea is about some superheroes of mine, Bindi, Bob, Terry and Steve Irwin, and we just remake some footage around the stories and adventures they go on, and the high energy, high impact stories. But sometimes there's little bloopers, like one stage Terry might be like, "Hey Steve, have you got the car keys?" And Steve will go, "Yeah," and then they'll get to the car and Terry will be like, "Hey Steve, about those car keys," and he'll go, "What?" and he'll realise his mistake.
Okay, so our protagonist, let's call her Stella. She's just about had the worst year of her life to date. The 27-year-old encountered a freak accident and she broke her leg in all kinds of messed up ways, which meant she couldn't walk for months. She discovered that her family had been stealing money from her and then trying to cover it up in this elaborate way before she found out. And then just to top it all off, the poor thing flew down interstate for the biggest career opportunity of her life to date to come back and find that her douchebag boyfriend Brendan had cheated on her the one night that she'd been away. Restless and pretty keen for some change but not sure where to begin, a chance encounter at a Christmas party by a friend, let's call him Tom. He came up and he offers her this opportunity of a lifetime. There are these dunes with magical powers, and he was planning this, little adventure there in summer and wanted her to come along with a bunch of mates. Now, other than Tom, Stella didn't know anybody else on this trip. And from the crack of dawn, she was piled into a car and paired off in kayaks with a bunch of soon-to-be forever friends. Started along this adventure out in the middle of nowhere, and although it may have taken a little longer than anticipated, they made it to camp, ready to hike early up the next morning. Spoiler, these dunes are fucking magical and a life-changing adventure for everyone involved then, happens. Created by Alan Watts and accompanied by a killer soundtrack, this coming-of-age story challenges society ideals and the conventional ways in which we participate in life. It's got great outfits, snacks, weird fruit, and even a little bit of nudity. It's called A Pocket Full of Lychees. Well, obviously it's a summer-based film. Lychees aren't in season right now. And if that sounded totally ridiculous, then just try it with water.
Our story starts with a young boy staring out of a car window with nothing but flat, barren country in every direction. On the horizon, he sees a speck in the distance. As the car moves along the highway, the speck becomes more defined. 3 legs rising up to the heavens, the tip touching the fan that will one day save humanity. The boy squints his eyes and tries to focus on the object to be sure what he is seeing before he proclaims his find to the rivals in the car. He is ready. He sticks out his hand, pointing to the object, and screams at the top of his lungs, "Windmill!" And the game was born.
Hello, Tim Goodwin. Long-time listener, first-time caller here. Firstly, happy birthday. Really excited to be able to celebrate with you soon. And secondly, I've got a movie pitch for you. So this movie starts, as some movies do, with a young hero whose parents have tragically died in a car crash. He's sitting there quite depressed and the devil shows up. And the devil says, "I can help you live forever. You don't have to worry about dying. The only catch is, you can never have an orgasm and you'll die if you climax." The kid thinks about it for a while. He says, "You know what? I think I'll do it." As he grows up, time goes on, turns out the devil's a bit of a dick. Random women start throwing themselves at him in all aspects of his life, and the devil himself even stops by every now and then to wind him up, give him a bit of a ribbing. Life gets a bit dull for him. He ends up going to the same restaurant every day, same sort of things. One day he's sitting at the restaurant having breakfast. He's used to getting attention when he's at the restaurant, but he finds out that the waitress is incredibly rude to him. Takes to him, he tries to figure out what the hell's actually going on, and we end up in a 50 First Dates kind of scenario where he's going back to the restaurant every day to try and learn a bit more about this woman. One day, she gets fired rather publicly. for being too rude to her customers. He goes outside, he sits there and talks to her, and eventually he finds out that she's also being cursed by the devil. They both decide at this point that life isn't worth living if they can't love. They decide to take it slow, go on a couple of dates, and then eventually, towards the end of the movie, they finally decide to get a room. But this movie has an Inception-style twist. As the door closes, it pans down to the devil down in hell. He's actually watching, paying attention, and he says to himself, "Fuck yeah, wreck it, Ralph."
When humanity joined the other alien species as part of the Galaxy Alliance, they expected to have amazing talent or trait that defined them from the others. But being the best at providing customer service is not exactly what the humans hoped for. You, an ordinary barista, have become well known for providing both good coffee and service, no matter who you are serving. All you want to do is make the universe's best coffee. However, you've now been nominated to campaign as Earth's new leader in the Alliance. This story follows both your campaign, struggle to find the universe's best coffee beans, while running a political campaign.
Hey babe, Kevin and Link and I are here to pitch to you a movie idea for the Hired Goons' next production. But because we recognise that you are the talented scriptwriter in this team, we are going to pitch to you an idea that is actually yours. We both know you have this hilarious sleep-talking quirk. A very long time ago at night, you sat up, wrote something on your phone and went back to sleep. You couldn't remember it the next morning. I asked you about it, so we read the note and it was hilarious. And so I kept it all this time. This was back in September 2015. I saved it and I'm going to read it to you today. It is the basic idea behind this movie concept. Idea: Bluetooth around the office always. We can tell each other our thoughts. I think it's beautiful when everything is wet but a car window is dry. That's stupid. You know what I like? Fully grown birds. So I think it speaks for itself as a movie concept. There's obviously a lot to unpack. So it's a feature-length film. Humans communicate telekinetically through their Bluetooth pieces, and everyone has a fully grown bird companion like Kevin here. The fully grown birds have hacked into the human minds, and they're trying to basically end all the other species, and they want to take over the Earth. They somehow get the humans to create these clouds that don't stop raining. It creates an apocalyptic flood. Everything's drenched, everything's wet, except for this one car which has dry windows. Tim Goodwin, our protagonist, thinks it's so beautiful that he gets inside this car with his best friend Mark Beckerhugh and lover Pavey. And they survive the apocalypse. Everyone else dies, the fully grown birds fly off to the high points and they survive. And then it's up to our protagonist to repopulate the human race. And then we end on a big war between human babies and fully grown birds. Obviously fully grown birds win because they're fully grown and they're very strong. Fast forward 1,000 years, they have evolved into dinosaurs. It's a circle of life and it's a commentary on evolution. So there you go, that's the idea. It comes straight from your brain. So I think it's brilliant, it's very, very Oscar worthy. I think you would be silly not to consider it. Other than that, I just wanted to say happy birthday. I love you. I am so proud of who you are and where you are, and I would not change a thing.
Happy birthday, Goodwin!
Happy birthday, Goodwin!
Woo!
Happy birthday, Goodwin!
Woo! Happy birthday, Goodwin! What should I say?
Snappy birthday, Goodwin!
Happy birthday, Goodwin. Have a good one.
I'm sorry about the hat.